teas made from various weeds can have an exhilarating effect on plants in our garden that need a little perking up. Especially in the small backyard garden, a homemade brew could be just what's needed to supply the missing nutrients, microbes, and minerals. One of the most common homemade teas for your garden is made from stinging nettle, a plant which stands alone in the world of plants. Stinging nettle is easy to grow. It transplants easily and is oftentimes grown in old-fashioned gardens. And it has hairs on it that will sting like fire if you brush up against it. But don't be afraid of stinging nettle. It's a very valuable herb. Stinging nettle is used for nursing mothers and pregnant women. It's used as a pot herb and cooked like spinach. It contains iron, calcium, silica, and many beneficial nutrients. The stinging nettle plant is from Europe, is related to the common wood nettle in our woods, but is much stronger. This is the plant Urtica dioica that's used as an herbal remedy in many of the old-time herb books. I use loppers to cut the stinging nettle down. I oftentimes like to do it earlier in the spring when the growth is faster, but we're going to use this nettle here today. It'll work just fine. I'm gingerly picking it up and putting it in the tub of water. Nettle tea by itself makes a good brew, but we can make it even better by adding some other weeds. Any of the plants that have strong growth habits, like poke salad or pigweed, have hormones and auxins in them that are very beneficial for plant growth, as you would expect. We're going to dig up a poke salad plant and put in here. Poke salad is a very pretty plant. Right now, it's in right after blooms and starting to make the seeds. These will become real dark purple berries. Poke is eaten in the springtime and was made famous by Tony Joe White's song, Poke Salad Annie. This time of year, poke is considered to be not edible. It does have some poisons in it. The berries of poke are used medicinally for arthritis, but only the juice. The seeds are poisonous. You can make a wine with it, strain out the seeds, and have an arthritis remedy. We're going to try to dig up some of the poke root, which is also used medicinally. Any plant with a big root like this and this much growth in 1 year is bound to have a lot of forces in it to help growth. And we're going to chop this up and rot it, ferment it, and get those forces on some of our garden plants. This is a stinging nettle preparation that I made simply by burying the nettle in a clay tile. This is a biodynamic preparation we put into our compost piles, but I'm going to add a little bit of it to our brew here because it will help this fermentation process. Kelp comes from the sea and is full of minerals and nutrients that we don't have here in Middle Tennessee. So I like to add some of the kelp to my brew too.
Before you put that in.
We're going to use the root of the poke salad, and we're also going to use the top. The reason I'm chopping it up is I want to expose more of the plant to the water. Another tea I like to use is made from horsetail, Equisetum arvens. This is a very silica-rich plant, and we make a tea out of it and then let it ferment for several weeks before sprinkling it on our plants. But rather than using horsetail for promoting growth, we're actually using it as a preventative for fungal diseases. Horsetail's silica content helps to dry the plants off and helps keep plants healthy. So here we have some nettle tea that I made several weeks ago. It's ready to use. It's a dark green, sort of kind of an ugly color, but it has in it the stuff that my plants are wanting. These purple climbing beans haven't had a rain on them since they were planted. We'll give them a little pick-me-up with some of our tea here. I don't use the tea every year or all the time, just when conditions warrant a little bit of extra pick-me-up. But anything like this that you do for your garden can't hurt. It's always good to use things that are alive and keep within the realm of the living, and it's taking good care of our plants.